Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, I'm showing you a brand new Pokemon. It's Shiinotic. Now, I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation, but he's shiny. I'm going for Shiinotic. Why else would there be a double I? Now, this is a brand new Pokemon from the Pokemon Sun and Moon games, getting its very first card in the Pokemon Sun and Moon trading card game expansion. It looks like this. Now, we are excited here for the ability Luminescence. Search your deck for a grass Pokemon, show it to your opponent, and put it into your hand. And this is a once per turn. Not once when you evolve, once every turn. Now, I cannot stress how good this is in grass decks. Now, you might recognise this ability. It's the same one that the Sunflora from Heart Gold Soul Silver had. That saw a little bit of play. You could get this going on the very first turn of the game using Forest of Giant Plants, and this could really help with your setup. But then you've got him sitting there for the rest of the game to help with your recovery. So let's say, for argument's sake, you're playing Vespiquen Vileplume. Now, you need to get that Vileplume going as soon as you possibly can. So what you do is you go for the Shiinotic to get your Vileplume. Now, I know that... Hang on a second, why am I not just searching out the Vileplume line? Because sometimes you can find the Gloom, but you can't find a Vileplume. Sometimes you can find a Vileplume, but you can't find the Gloom. Shiinotic is only a stage 1, and when you find it, you can search for the other one. But you can keep doing it. If your first Vileplume goes down, once per turn you can search for a Gloom or a Vileplume for your next one. It means that if you set up your Vileplume but you can't get a Vespiquen, in comes Shiinotic. It means that if your Vespiquen goes down, you will more likely have another one to use thanks to this Pokemon. If you are playing a grass deck, you should absolutely be considering playing this, especially a Vileplume-based grass deck. Vileplume, of course, is a stage 2. You can evolve using Forest of Giant Plants, but you shut off item cards for both players. Well, that's okay here, because you can search using Shiinotic rather than searching using your item cards. It's really quite spectacular. Yes, you have to find space in your deck for it, and yes, you have to find space on your bench for it, but it's seriously good. It makes grass decks more consistent. And don't just think early game. Early game, you can get those Pokemon out. Mid to late game, you can recover them, and especially now that we've got cards like Karen, which can allow you to get your grass Pokemon from your discard back into your deck using a supporter rather than an item. But these Vileplume decks can use Karen to recover the cards, and then Shiinotic to search them out again. I really like this card, ladies and gentlemen. It's very good. Now, it's got 100 HP, which is actually a slight problem, because if it had 90 HP, it would be searchable with Level Ball. It's not. That's a little bit of a shame. Now, in terms of the attack, Grass, Colourless Energy, 30 damage plus guaranteed sleep on the defending Pokemon. It's not the worst attack ever, but it's not particularly good. As a desperation attack in decks that are playing Grass Energy, fine, but it's not to be relied upon. Now, it does have a weakness to fire, which can be a bit of a problem because of cards like Volcanion, and I have made no secret about my love of Incineroar going forward into the next format. But to be honest, it's only got 100 HP anyway. Now, it does have a retreat cost of 2, which is a slight problem, because your opponent, if they want to stall for time, they're going to want to be Lysandering up Shiinotic. Let's face it, even though the attack is borderline viable, I think that's the nicest thing I can say about it, at the end of the day, it's not a great attack. So they're going to try and drag it in the active. You're not really wanting to attack with it. You've got to try and retreat it. This could be a problem, especially in Vileplume decks, where item cards will shut off Floatstone, and you're going to want to get your Floatstones on Vileplume early game. This is another Pokemon that could be Lysandered and put you in an awkward position. Although a retreat cost of 2 does mean you can manually retreat using a double colourless energy. So the retreat cost here is awkward. I don't talk about it very often. Retreat cost isn't always a huge problem, but in decks where you could well be shutting off your access to cards like Switch, Escape Rope and Floatstone, having a retreat cost of more than 1 is a pain. So, I like this card. The ability is awesome. If you're playing a grass deck, you've got Forest of Giant Plants, this added consistency is amazing. You could just play a 1-1 line, or you could even play a 2-2 line and really go nuts for consistency. I'll leave it up to you. What I will tell you is that Sunflora did see a little bit of play in Jumpluff style decks. Not like huge, but it saw a little bit of play. There was a Beedrill that allowed you to search for Beedrills, and that saw play in Beedrill, although the synergy there was off the hook to begin with. I see this seeing play. Any Vileplume decks, if they don't play this card, they are going to be very strongly considering it. Now, I suppose I better give it a score, actually. I almost didn't give it a score. 3 Wassies. Not the best card ever, not the worst card ever, a really good consistency tech in Vileplume decks. Now, you know the deal, ladies and gentlemen, there is a comment section, go nuts, be nice. There is a like button for this video, a subscribe button for this channel, go nuts. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter, @TheWassie. The most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.